Oh.
So you hear from the pool beneath you the voice of a younger Willie Stampler going, just jump already. Just do it. You're not going to learn if you don't. This is how we're doing. You're going to jump in. You're going to learn. I'll catch you. You'll learn to swim that way. Come on. My fucking fingers are pruning.
Don't try and catch the kid. That's dangerous.
How high up are we, and how old is
You're
this
like
young
10
Ron?
feet up.
Oh, fuck.
And how old is Ron?
Probably 6.
I do not have all day. Your mother made me bring you. I brought you. And so you're going to learn something. This is going to be purposeful. Come on. Let's go. Jump, jump, jump. Go, jump, go, go, go. I'm waiting. Go.
I think Ron standing behind young Ron is just like, just go out. Just do it. Jump. Go on, jump. Why won't you jump? And then young Ron is, Dad, it's really high up. It's already so cold.
He goes, it'll be warmer in the fucking pool. How many times do I have to convince you of this? Yes, it's high up. That's the point. If you jump from a place that's really high, you'll never get scared jumping anywhere beneath that. We're ripping the Band-Aid off, okay?
Okay.
Ripping the Band-Aid off. Rip it off. 1, 2, 3, go. Rip it off.
Could you count to 3 again?
1, 2, 3, go.
And little Ron still doesn't jump. Old Ron steps up like right behind young Ron. It's just like, it's actually pretty warm. It's not that cold. And then I think young Ron jumps.
So this is a small detail, but how does young Ron jump? Does he try to like swan dive? Does he cannonball? Does he just step off and just let gravity do its thing?
I think he just steps off.
Great. So he steps off, his luxurious long head of hair whipping upward as he hits terminal velocity, and he hits the water. And immediately he begins to sink. And Willie starts wading toward him, and he goes, now's where you learn to swim. And he puts his hands behind his head and just looks at Ron. And Ron, little Ron, you are kicking as hard as you can and sucking in water into your mouth. And you can feel yourself falling underneath the water in your head. It's getting harder and harder to keep your head up.
What the fuck? Somebody call the police. This guy's an abusive asshole.
And he goes, oh my God, stop fucking whining. It's my kid. I'll fucking handle it. And he begins to walk away. As you see young Willie and young Ron begin to wade their way out of the pool, you can see some ripples in the pool coming from behind you, and you hear some splashing. And as you turn around, you see glowing bright and purple a vision of current Willie.
Grr, Henry growls at him.
And he looks at current Ron and he goes, that's kind of on you. So I assume you're trying to find the anchor, and that's fine. You can go ahead and try to find it. Probably not going to work out for you, but I just want you to know it was your fault for not being good enough.
I'm swimming, aren't I?
He kind of doesn't know what to say, and he disappears. And where he was, a portal opens up. And through that portal, you can see your childhood home. You can see a kitchen. And a lot of pots and pans are laid out. Hey, I'm going to go. I got a business thing. Your mom's upstairs. She's sick again. So your dinner's on you. I'll probably be back like 8, 9-ish if she like talks a lot. I'll be back. Fucking just
Is there
cook.
anything in the fridge?
Hey, you know who gets to find that out? Is you. Fucking here's $5. Just walk to the fucking corner store and get something.
$5 is like $400 in 2020.
If I come back in there and eat Fruit Loops, you are not going to be happy with what happens. So I will be back. And he leaves.
Bye. I love you.
He closes the door behind him.
Hey, Rogue.
The dog is super happy to see you, but then it sees that little you is in a state and panicking, doesn't know what to do, and then comes over to little you and like nuzzles little Ron's face. What is little Ron's plan?
Okay, let's see. So a lot of the stuff that goes on the stove is hot, so it means that it's not hot to begin with. So maybe we should check the fridge.
As you try to pull open the fridge, it's too big. That door's too big. It's sealed.
How about the pantry?
You can see, a bunch of stale boxes of like grain cereal,
It's just
bran cereal.
saltines.
Yeah, a lot of saltines. Most of the boxes half empty. Like somebody like ate the last one and then just sort of threw it in there. And
Hey, Rogue, check if there are any pasta boxes.
And Rogue goes into this big pile of just like random detritus food, like old cans of beans and pickled hog's feet and stuff that presumably Willie just like stole from a bar.
Pickled?
And he comes out with a bag of tagliatelle on his head.
Then little Ron turns the stove on.
Go ahead and roll acrobatics with disadvantage because you're young, Ron.
Okay, so that's a 4.
Okay, so with a 4, basically your hand slips as you're trying to turn the dial, and then you try to reach out for balance, and you reach at the pot, and your foot slips off of Rogue's back, and you bring the pot of water back down onto the ground. It's not hot. I mean, it just came out of the
Yeah.
faucet. But you fall down, and the pot hits the ground really hard, and water goes everywhere. and the fire is on now. So you can see that there was a towel that was left on the stove and just the tip of it has ignited from the burn. So you see young Ron feel a great deal of ease. Still a little bit worried because he's still got to make dinner, but like he feels unusually calm and happy. And then you realize, old Ron, that this is not what happened. You remember what happened. You remember the feeling, and thankfully your friends don't have to see this though, but you remember in your mind the feeling of falling off of Rogue and Rogue yelping in pain.
Oh, God.
You remember trying to take care of him because you were worried maybe you'd broken his back or something. And he was fine. It just hurt. But while you were taking care of him, you didn't smell the smoke as the towel caught on fire and it began to spread a little bit. And then you remember the door busting open and Willie coming home and being like, I forgot my fucking rubbers. Where my goddamn... And then he saw that the kitchen was on fire and he very quickly grabbed the sink. It's one of those pull-off nozzles or whatever. And he put out the fire and you remember a lot of yelling. So in front of you, another portal opens and you see the cafeteria being made ready for an assembly at your elementary school. You see a big banner on the stage at the front that they've set up that says the Happy Helper Awards.
Adult Ron, I turn into Rogue and I pet him for...
You go forth into the cafeteria and you see all the kids are assembled. The vast majority of them obviously just bored waiting for this to be over, but you see the principal of your school at the head of the room standing next to a little dais that they've brought out, and there are a couple of chairs for some kids, and you see a young girl that you remember who was one of the most active Girl Scouts in your school, and she went out of her way to, help old ladies across streets and do community work and do charity. And saw somebody that spent his weekends, even though he was, in grade school, he would go to his grandma's hospice and like play guitar for them and stuff. And then there's the third chair that's empty, and then behind you, you see the doors to the auditorium open, and you see the kids turn, and suddenly you see their faces light up because they see something that they've seen a couple times, and you see the teacher at the front of the class just go and like sigh and roll her eyes. And all of you see the image of young Ron riding on Rogue like a horse coming into the assembly. All the kids are going, Rogue and Ron, Rogue and Ron, Rogue and Ron. And what's little Ron doing? How does he feel about everybody being so psyched to see him and his dog?
He waves to people. I bet he's just hanging with his boy Rogue, just like doesn't really give a shit whether or not they're cheering.
Like a full-on Queen's wave, just a little pivot of the wrist.
Hey, Ron, is Willie going to show up in this one? Can we leave before it gets bad? This seems like a nice memory right now.
You remember that Willie is going to show up.
Yeah, if you guys want to go on to the next one.
No, we're here for you, Ron, whatever you need.
You see little Ron on Rogue walk past a couple of parents that you remember are actually parents of the other kids, the other Happy Helper kids. You see little Ron ride the Rogue up to the dais and then sit down in his chair. And this part of the memory is a little bit hazy because you remember just looking at Rogue and Rogue looking at you during most of it. So you don't hear what the teacher is saying. You hear, wah, 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 wah. And then you hear, Ron Stampler with the help of, yes, Rogue, the dog, your dog Rogue. There's a bullying incident. We won't say names. And yes, you and little Rogue managed to protect one of our lovely students. And even though I would love it if Rogue didn't, I would love it if Rogue didn't show up. But yes, your fellow classmates have voted you a yearly Happy Helper. So congratulations. Ronald, is there anything you would like to say to the student body?
A little feedback.
You can look into the back and you see the other two parents of the other kids are very happy and looking at their kids and giving them thumbs up. And there's, an empty spot on the wall where Willie should be.
Hi, I'm Ron.
We know! Ron! Hi, I'm Ron! Hi, I'm Ron! Hi, I'm Ron!
And Ron is trying to think of what he would say because he's seen, obviously, these other kids get the awards and stuff like that. But, he's just kind of looking at that place where his parents would be if they were here. And he just says, happy we can help.
Hi, I'm Ron!
Damn, look at that crowd control.
And Ron locks eyes with the Girl Scout and is like, that's smart business.
And so the teacher is just like, shakes her head at the Hi, I'm Ron chant. And she goes to the first boy and then puts a little pin on him that says Happy Helper. And she goes to the Girl Scout and puts a little pin on her Girl Scout sash that says Happy Helper. And she goes to little Ron and she puts a pin on him. And you remember in this moment, she just put it on a little bit wrong. And the pin goes into his chest it stings him. And Ron reacts.
Ow.
Immediately, Rogue can tell something's wrong. And he sees this teacher doing something to you, and it gets stuck. She goes, please stop moving. I have to get it out. And you're just wincing and moving.
I think Ron's trying to maybe take it off and give it to Rogue or put it on Rogue's collar or something.
Oh yeah,
like
he's
that.
trying to take it off and stuff too, but it's
Struggle.
it's literally stuck in your
Yeah.
shirt and a little bit with your chest or whatever. And so from Rogue's perspective, Rogue thinks that this woman is hurting you, and he bounds up the stage in 2 big leaps, and he bites the principal on the hand hard, and she shrieks and pulls her hand back, and you can see a little bit of blood already begin to trickle down her hand, and the auditorium suddenly goes silent, and the chants stop. You hear the close of a cafeteria door behind you, and you see Willie Stampler actually did show up, but just in time to see this. And while the teacher sees him come in, and she goes, get them out of here. Parent-teacher conference tomorrow night. We're talking. Get him out of here. And so Willie goes, yeah, Jesus Christ, calm the fuck, Jesus. And comes up and just grabs you by the arm, and then grabs Rogue and just picks him up in one hand kind of roughly, and then takes you out to the parking lot to your car. And as all of you follow him out to the parking lot, you can see that the car itself is now glowing purple and seems to have a portal associated with it. So if you get close to that, you'll be able to go into the next memory. And as he's beginning to walk you back to the car, you remember, because this happened to you obviously, but you see him look down at little Ron's at the pin on his chest and says, happy helper. You helped up. They should have given you a sucker. It would have been more appropriate. And the car transforms into a portal, and you can see the interior of the car, but you can tell that this is from a different time. It's not from this afternoon. Looking into this portal, you see your mother on one of her very rare days where she was feeling well enough to drive somewhere in the driver's seat, and you in the passenger seat, and Rogue in the back.
This is very hard for Henry. Like, not to make it about Henry. Henry's just like, his heart is breaking right now watching this all happen to Ron. And he just kind of goes up to Ron and is like, I don't know what to say, Ron. But we're here for you, and we're here to bear witness to whatever you want us to bear witness to. You know, I have some shitty memories from my childhood that I don't talk about a whole lot, but you know, sometimes I wish someone else knew, and so you know, maybe that can be some comfort that you know you're not the only one who sees this now. You're not the only one going through this. We're going through it with you.
Yeah. And you know, you said you didn't know what to say, and I guess that makes me feel better because I didn't know what to say either. And so, yeah, I guess this is what happened.
Whatever happened, I'm glad you came. We met you, and this is your future. Like, we're here now with you. So whatever happened back then, remember, like, you got 3 buds that love you now.
Yeah, this is the past, not the present.
Yeah, Terry Jr. says, like, yeah, you already got through it.
Yeah.
You all head into the back seat of this car. You sort of scooch in on either side of Rogue, who is shaking. And you look into the front seat, and you remember in this moment this conversation you had with your mom. This was one of the few times, like I said, where she was actually feeling well enough to go out. And she's saying, as she's been saying for the last couple hours on the way to your destination, she's like, we have to go over it again. Okay, we have to make sure the lie is consistent. Okay.
Okay, tell me what it is.
Okay, you and we drove on I-95 West. We went about 30 miles past the Cardboard Cowboy. The Cardboard Cowboy, remember that?
Cardboard.
It's the details. Okay.
Cardboard Cowboy.
We went out there, and I made you. You didn't choose to. I made you get rid of Rogue. Remember? That's what
You made me.
Okay, so say it again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Real quick, just say it again.
We went to I-95 West.
Good.
For 30 minutes.
Yes.
Past the Cardboard Cowboy, and then you made me. Then you made me get rid of Rogue.
Yes. Okay.
But
yes.
I didn't want to.
No, you didn't. I don't want to do this either. I'm so, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she pulls in.
But what if we, what if we all drive, what if we all, we don't have to go, why can't we all live out here with Rogue?
Because I can't, I wouldn't be able to support you. I can't with my condition, and I can't work properly. And your father,
I know.
Your father he's a complicated man, and I'm not, but he does bring home enough money. And she leans over and she grabs little Ron by the shoulders, and she says, the most important thing is that you and I love each other. And as long as we love each other, that's enough. Us loving each other is enough. And there's nothing that he can do or that the world can do that can hurt us so long as we love each other. That has to be enough. and the light ahead turns green, and she goes, "Oh, we're here." And she drives forward and pulls into the parking lot and stops at a no-kill dog shelter. And she turns to you, and she goes, "It's time. If you want to say goodbye to him or anything."
What do I say? He doesn't understand.
Oh, honey, he understands. He loves you, and you love him. And I'm so, and tears are streaming down her face. And she says, "I'm so sorry that we had to do this."
Rogue, I'm really sorry that you couldn't stay with us, and I wish I could go with you. But this way, you're gonna have a new family, and I bet you won't even have to cook, because I'm not gonna be a very good cook. And I love you, and I'm so glad that you were my dog.
And Rogue licks your face, and your mom takes him into the shelter, and that's the last time you see him. And a portal opens up in the car. I'm sorry. A portal opens up in the car, and you feel stronger than ever before that your anchor is in this next memory. And it's a memory that you know exists, but has always been a little bit opaque to you as you've remembered it in your adult life. In the same way that the Dimensional Witch told you that sometimes the ink smears. This has always been a very smeared memory. And so you're looking at it clearly, and that on its own is surprising and unusual to you. And you see yourself and Willie at a lake, about to fish. You've got fishing poles. You're ready to go fishing. And you can see that the lure on Willie's fishing rod is glowing gently. And you can feel that's your anchor. But you're going to have to go in and see all this happen in order to get it.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go, guys.
Okay.
I mean,
Ron.
yeah.
Whatever you need, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a few years later. You're in junior high by now. And you remember that Willie had told you, like, hey, let's go do some man shit, some outdoorsy shit. You're spending too much time in your fucking room. You're like your mom. So let's go out into nature and do some fishing shit. You remember that up to this point. It's been easier in a weird way. You've gotten the vibe that he's been more resentful of you and more irritated in your presence. But that means that he just hasn't been talking to you as much. And it's always been a relief. He's been giving you a lot of space, and it's actually been kind of nice. Maybe there's a little bit of hope, or maybe there's a lot of anxiety about this trip for little Ron.
I think there's hope.
So Willie says, all right, so here's how you cast. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm going to use my lure.
Okay.
Put the lure on.
Okay.
You go back like this, and then you fling forward real hard.
Oh, cool.
Then you wait for a bite. You reel it in like this. And then you're going to have to fight. You pull in different directions. I mean, there wasn't a fish there, but like if there were a fish, you'd fight it, pull in different directions. And then boom, dinner. This is manly shit. You know, you go out, you make your own food, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm this is great. Let me, can I try?
Yep, go for it.
All right, so I got the lure here.
Use my lure. Go ahead.
Really?
Yes. This is a Lucky. This is the Stampler family lure. I just decided when I swiped it from that tackle shop. But yes, no, it's the Stampler's. It's still mine. I'm not passing it to you or anything like that. But yes, you can borrow it for for training purposes. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
See.
Oh my god.
Okay, cool. All right, so putting it on the string, and I'm just gonna cast. I'm just gonna cast it.
Yep.
Okay.
Fuck!
Oh shit! Oh,
Fuck! The lure catches Willie in the back of his ear,
oh god!
and blood is streaming down his
Oh god!
side of his cheek. And he goes, don't move. You're full. You're
I'm sorry. Dad. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna. I'm just gonna.
No. Don't just do nothing. Do
okay,
nothing.
I'm done.
Do nothing. You will make it worse. And he pulls it out of his ear. And he's just groaning. And he just holds his fucking ear.
Dad, I'm really sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's okay. You're all right. Jesus fucking Christ. I shouldn't have. It's on me for assuming you could, do something without completely fucking it up. No, that's on me. Oh shit! A fish.
Really?
Yeah. No, there's a fish in the water. Okay. Now we're gonna do a different tactic. Okay. This one's with your hands.
Okay.
Right. So do like I do. Okay. Then he goes on all fours.
Okay.
Above the river.
Okay.
And he looks down into it. And you look down in the river. You can't see any fish. And he goes, what you're going to do is you put your face really close to the water.
Okay.
And this is the part that is beginning to clear up for you. The ink is beginning to take shape. And you remember, and you see in front of you, your father very suddenly reach up and grab you by the neck and shove your face into the water. And your hands are splashing, and you're trying to get him to let go. And he doesn't, and he's just scrunching up his face just with what you initially think might be sadness, but is really just irritation. So he's got the lure in the same hand that he's using to push you down into the water, and you can feel the lure digging into your neck. And you see little Ron reach up just instinctively, and his hand hits the lure and grabs onto the not sharp part and inadvertently pulls down and digs the hook of the lure into Willie's hand. And he goes, fuck. And he pulls his hand back, and for a second, you don't have his hand on your neck anymore. He begins to try to get up, but his foot slips on the gravel, on the rocks, and he falls down into the shallow water, and his head hits a stone, a big, sharp stone, and blood is streaming down his head, and he goes limp, and he starts drifting into the middle of the lake.
And Ron's head is up by this point, right? Like I can...
Yes, you can see all this.
Okay.
As you begin to clear the water out of your eyes, you see that he is sort of floated to the center of the lake, and he is barely conscious, and he is beginning to, much like you did at the pool, he's beginning to, but like kind of drunkenly, kind of lazily, he's flailing. And you can see that he can't get back on his own. He can't swim back on his own. And you can see and you can feel, because you were in this position before, you know that there's a chance that he's probably going to drown if you don't do anything.
Dad? Dad? Current Ron is like staring at this kid, this 13-year-old Ron, and he's like, I know that this is a memory and that this already happened and I can't change anything. I didn't think I could change anything then either. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't move. And I knew he was in trouble, but I couldn't move. I didn't want to fuck up again. And then I thought, well, what if I didn't do anything? What if I really didn't do anything on purpose? And what if I just walked away? And he wouldn't be there telling me that I did the wrong thing. He would never be there telling me anything again. And so then I saw him, and I knew that he was drowning, and that I had to help him. And so I went. I knew I couldn't do nothing. So I and then at this point, younger Ron hops in the lake.
Younger Ron leaps into the lake, learned a little bit how to swim, is still not particularly good at it, but is paddling to try to get to Willie as Willie begins to stop struggling and begins to start sinking. And you see little Ron get close to him just as Willie slips beneath the surface, and little Ron puts his head into the water and can see down there. He can't see the bottom of the lake. The lake is too deep and it's too dark, and he watches as his father, Willie, descends into the darkness. And when little Ron surfaces without Willie, he's still holding the lure in his hand, and this memory lure, it's glowing bright purple, and this is, you know, for certain, your anchor.
I didn't think that I could do anything. And then when I realized that I could, it was too late. So.
And little Ron swims back to shore alone, and this entire time seems to have behaved as if you weren't there, like he couldn't see you. But as you say that, little Ron locks eyes with current Ron. And he steps forward and he just puts his arms around older Ron.
I think big Ron says, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry too.
You can tell that your time is almost up, and you have your anchor.
Ron, it's time to go, man. Do you have anything else you want to say to little Ron here, or we need to go?
There's a lot of stuff I wish I said. but I didn't know what to say. So I don't want to kill Ron.
Terry Jr. comes up to you and he says, Ron, to be completely honest with you, when we came back in here, I had forgotten all the anger that I had. And then when we went back to the tower, it all came flooding back really suddenly. And I was really angry at you all over again. And I didn't like that feeling. But your dad tried to kill you. You don't have to worry about what you said or didn't say. He's not worth that. And I don't have anything eloquent to say or whatever. I'm a very erudite 13-year-old. I say eloquent.
Damn, dude.
Damn, yeah.
We should have let Terry say everything.
Yeah, shit.
My mom's
shit.
Samantha. I'm very well trained.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for it, but I just want you to know that
I do have to be sorry for things that I said and did. I'm sorry that I said, "Who's your daddy now?" I know it was really funny.
sorry?
I'm not that sorry.
Okay.
I know. I'm really sorry.
the honesty is helping too. That the honesty is okay. But I appreciate you apologizing to me. But in terms of this dude, you don't have to worry about what you said or didn't say, because I don't know if there's any path you would have taken that didn't end with him doing something fucked up like that.
Maybe, but there's something I want to say. Now obviously is that I'm so proud of you,
Well, you don't have to. Thank you.
and I love you.
I love you too, Ron. And I don't want Ron to die.
I don't want Ron to die.
Die.